Awesome. Thank you so much, Amanda. And thank you everyone for joining Virginia and I today. We will be here to answer some general basic questions that you have regarding financial aid. We know that there's so much going on in your lives today that we appreciate that you're taking this time to learn a little bit about this upcoming cycle, the 25-26 FAFSA cycle. Just a couple of things. We know that there are so many of you on today, so we may not get to all of your questions, but please do not hesitate. We have our contact information at the end of the slide, so feel free to reach out to us if we do not answer get to your question. With that, let's dive right in. Yeah. So today, the goal of the presentation is to kind of provide you with some insight along with the process of financial aid and advising families of what financial aid consists of. Some of the things that we are going to discuss today are important things to know. So deadlines, forms that you may need to fill out. They differ among schools, who's eligible for federal aid. We get a lot of questions about international financial aid that may be available. So we'll do a quick slide on that to give our international students some information. What's new? So we know that there's a lot going on with the FAFSA form as far as it is kind of in the testing, beta testing. So it's available right now. So we'll go over that. The different sources of aid that's available. What is financial aid? So a common myth is I make too much, so therefore I don't qualify for any financial aid. So we'll kind of go over what those sources are. The cost of attendance, so understanding the difference between direct costs and indirect costs, that funny number, the student aid index that you got. If you did complete your FAFSA form already, we'll go a little bit into detail on that. For those of you who are New York State residents, we will go over the New York State aid. One common thing that we do get a lot of questions on is we are not the office that handles tuition for resident students, so we will not be able to answer those type of questions, but we will go over New York State aid that is available. And then last but not least, we will go over if you have a special circumstance. So we do know that the FAFSA form does require the tax return from 2 years prior. So we know that sometimes life can change and you can hit some roadblocks or bumps along the way. So we'll be going over that and how we may be able to assist you in that. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to one of my fabulous colleagues, Virginia Rivera, and she's going to go over the next few slides. Virginia?
Yes, hi, welcome everybody. So, as far as your free application for student aid goes, what can you do now? So, as a high school senior, students can log into studentaid.gov now and actually create their FSA ID. And we truly advise students to get ahead of the game, create your IDs, and have that completely settled before the FAFSA opens for submission this upcoming December. Just in case, they should run into any issues, we would like students to be proactive and give themselves the gift of time to resolve any unforeseen roadblocks. Students can determine who their contributor or contributors are. Studentaid.gov has a very handy webpage to help with this determination. Contributors can also go ahead and create their FSA IDs, and this is particularly advised to those contributors who may not have a social security number because the process of identity verification can take some time. From what we understand, the 2025-2026 FAFSA has just opened for beta testing, so don't be discouraged if you go onto studentaid.gov and you're unable to begin your application yet. Official word from the Department of Education is that the form will open December 1st. Another step students can take now is to apprise themselves of important deadlines, and those can vary from institution to institution. Next slide. So each institution will have a different priority deadline. Stony Brook's FAFSA submission priority deadline is currently February 15th, although this may be pushed further back. This is an important deadline to pay attention to because students who submit their FAFSAs prior to the priority deadline are given primary consideration with the awarding of additional institutional funding, such as federal work study funding, WOLFE grants, etc. Stony Brook does not use the CSS profile, which is an online application used by colleges and scholarship programs to award institutional or their own private stock of aid. Think of colleges that have ivy growing on their buildings. These will be the types of institutions that do use the CSS profile. Each institution may require different forms as well, such as in the case where a student may be selected for a process called verification. The results of the FAFSA may require proof of citizenship, etc. Required documentation varies depending on the reason or reasons your application was selected. Documentation requests would be handled through a student's Solar account via what we would call their to-do list.
So for financial aid, it's the question that we get is, well, am I eligible for? So these are the basic criteria that if you fit this criteria that's listed on the slide right here, it goes over what students need in order to be eligible for financial aid. So I go back to it may not necessarily be the Pell Grant, but all students who meet this criteria do qualify for some sort of financial aid. So that does include loan. It could be an unsubsidized loan. But so some of the things you do have to demonstrate financial need. That in parentheses, you'll see it says for most programs. So you may not qualify for a subsidized loan, which is considered a need-based loan, which we'll go over in a couple of slides, but you may qualify for an unsubsidized loan. So that's why it says for most programs. But you do need to be a US citizen or an eligible non-citizen. The eligible non-citizen requirement, if you go to the studentaid.gov website, that is the best place to check to see if you meet that eligible non-citizen requirement. Typically, that's going to be your permanent residence, approval of if you're an asylum seeker, those kind of eligible non-citizenship statuses, but we highly advise that you take a look at the studentaid.gov website for those more in more detail. They do have to have a valid social security number. Obviously, that's going to be a little bit different if you're coming from the Marshall Islands. So anyone from the Marshall Islands, if you happen to be on this call, feel free to reach out to us and we can explain to you how to go about completing the FAFSA form. You do need to be enrolled in an eligible program. So when we refer to that, the eligible program is going to be, you have to be going towards a degree. So you have to be a matriculated student going for your bachelor's. You can't be a non-matriculated student. That typically happens maybe if you're a graduate student, just taking classes to get into a program, but you do need to be accepted and enrolled for an eligible degree program. In some cases, you do need to be enrolled at least half time. So for loans, you do need to be enrolled in half time. So that is a common question that we get as far as, I have to be full time. You do not need to be full time in order to receive federal aid. You can be part time as far as 6 credits for the loans. And then if you are eligible for the Pell Grant, that's going to be based on what they refer to as your enrollment intensity. And that's going to be based on the number of credits that you are enrolled in. And then the last thing is meeting satisfactory academic progress. So high level, the information is that you basically have to be moving forward for your degree. We go over this a lot more during orientation, but high level, you have to be passing a certain percentages of your classes each semester. You have to maintain a 2.0, and then you can't be here for more than 150% of your program. But as mentioned, that's more of an orientation type conversation. But if you see down at the bottom, that studentaid.gov/eligibility, that's really going to give you that information regarding what the high level of criteria is to qualify for federal aid. So for international students, we do have a section of our website that is dedicated for international students. So we do get many questions for aid eligibility. So while international students may not be eligible, are not eligible for federal aid, we would advise that if you are an international student, that you take a look at this website. The page is dedicated to provide international students with information that they may find helpful. So they may be eligible to apply for list our scholarship opportunities that students can apply for, as well as loan options. So it does go into international students. If you're looking for a loan to help cover your educational costs, we would advise taking a look at this website. And then there are some external scholarship opportunities listed as well on our website.
Free help is available at any time during the FAFSA application process. Our office is a great resource for students and their families. While we don't offer appointments, we do offer walk-in lobby hours, phone hours, and our email inbox. If we're unable to assist, we would point you in the direction of the Federal Student Aid Hotline. Unfortunately, sometimes they are the best office to address some technical issues. The director of the financial aid department here recently offered some statistics regarding the FSA hotline for this current academic year. He stated that of the 4 million calls the hotline received, they were only able to assist around 1 million callers. Therefore, reaching out to us would really be your best bet unless it's an issue that we're not equipped to deal with, such as, a password issue, something like that. So, what is federal student aid? That a question we get a lot in our department is, will the FAFSA determine the complete amount of financial aid that I'm eligible to receive, or could I have the ability to receive more aid? So we believe it's important to define what federal student aid is. They are funds basically that the federal government gives to students that can help pay for college at a to secure your education at a post-secondary level. The funds are available through grants, work study, and loans. Federal loans are considered federal aid, and while yes, they do need to be repaid, they are considered federal aid, albeit what we would refer to as self-help aid. So there are several types of financial aid, although they may function in different ways. They all serve to help reduce the overall cost associated with securing your education. There are two broad categories of financial aid as indicated on the slide. Self help aid includes both work opportunities and loans and is called self help again because the individual is taking responsibility in receiving this type of aid. Federal work study functions in the same way as a typical job, with the student being paid directly based on the number of hours that they work. Loans, an educational loan is a form of financial aid that must be repaid with interest. Eligibility is based on financial need. Federal loans require submission of the free application for federal student aid, also known as the FAFSA. Limits are set on how much financial assistance student can receive in the form of federal student loans. Gift aid includes scholarships and grants, thusly called because they typically do not need to be paid back. So let's break down gift aid a little more and define those terms. Scholarships. A scholarship is a financial award intended to help cover the cost of education. Again, scholarships typically do not have to be repaid, although there is one instance I can think of where a scholarship can be turned into a loan if the student does not abide by the contractual agreement, and that would be the Excelsior Scholarship. We advise our students to, of course, read their contractual agreements closely. Scholarships can be awarded by federal agencies, state and local governments, schools, churches, civic organizations, employers, private institutions. Scholarship eligibility is determined by the donor, and eligibility can vary. For example, academic merit may be what's paramount to one donor, while other donors may want the student to be a member of the university's rugby team. So, grants. A financial aid grant is money awarded by the federal government, state government, schools, and private institutions to help students pay for educational expenses. Most grants require you to submit the FAFSA. Grants do not need to be typically repaid. So, what is financial need? Financial need is basically just the difference between the cost of attendance at a given university and your student aid index. The student aid index is calculated using what is referred to as methodology, or as I've heard Lindsay call it, maybe more aptly, annoying math. If you're interested in the mathematical formula, it is available online and you can complete what's called a hand calculation so you can see how it's actually done. So it's important to know that the cost of attendance, it can vary greatly from school to school, but the SAI stays static regardless of what institution you're at. It's always going to be the same. Therefore, the level of financial need a student has can vary from university to university, and this can affect the awarding of a subsidized loan, which is a need-based loan. We do have a visual of the variation of a student's calculated need coming up in a few slides, but let us define what the cost of attendance is and what a student aid index is.
So as far as the cost of attendance goes, so we really like to make sure that we're letting students and parents know that there are two categories basically. So you have your direct costs and you have your indirect costs. So the direct costs are going to be those typically that are charged directly to the student. So you're going to see that on the student's bill. So that's going to be your tuition, your fees, and if you happen to be living on campus, maybe your room and your meal plan are going to be on the bill. But as we all know, college costs money and there are also indirect costs. So those indirect costs are going to be, so if you're a commuting student, you have to go back and forth. So maybe you have gas money. If you happen to be coming from afar, coming from abroad, another state, and you have to fly, those are transportation costs that we take an average of and put into a student's cost of attendance. Books, so we do know that you have to purchase books, so that may be part up of your built up of your cost of attendance. And then there are also miscellaneous and personal expenses. So we take basically an average of just the cost that students appear to have excuse me, the cost that students have, and we put into the standard cost of attendance that all students will receive when you get your financial aid award notification. Once we start sending out award notifications, we do have a specific webinar that goes over that notification so we can break it down to understand. But high level, what we want you to understand on this slide is that the cost of attendance is made up of not just direct costs, but also those indirect costs. So for those of you who have been lucky enough, who were able to complete their FAFSA form during its beta testing, which is available now, you probably got on your confirmation page this funny number called the Student Aid Index. So in the financial aid world, as you can tell, we love our acronyms. So Student Aid Index, as Virginia had mentioned before, the SAI stands for Student Aid Index. So what is this number used for? So the SAI basically is an eligibility index number that our office and financial aid offices can use to determine how much federal aid a student is eligible to receive while they're attending school. So the number is based on the information that you put on there. So Virginia had mentioned before, it's called the federal methodology. And so they're not only taking into consideration your adjusted gross income, but they're looking at your taxes paid. They're looking at the number of people in the household. They're looking at how old the parents are. They're looking at um, are there two parents working? Is there one parent working? Are the parents, did they file joint? Did they file separate? So there's a reason why they ask all those questions. And as Virginia said, if you really are interested in knowing math, I love how she phrased it that way. Definitely you can break it down and do a hand calculation, but it is quite daunting. So basically your SAI is calculated according to a formula that's been established by law. And then from there, it spits out a number and it's broken down. As you can see, it's going to be a student contribution and a parent contribution. You add those together, that's what's giving you your student aid index. A few key points about the student aid index. This is not the number that you are expected to pay for your education, and it will remain the same regardless of what school you attend. So for example, if it spits out that you have a negative 1,500 SAI, that does not mean that you're going to get back $1,500. If it spits out an SAI of 1,000, that doesn't mean that you're going to be responsible for only paying $1,000 to the institution. So it does vary. So here's this visual that Virginia was referring to. So if you see on this slide, you'll notice that the cost of attendance is going to vary depending on what school you're going to. So if you're looking at 1, 2, and 3, I kind of like to phrase it as, so your ones are going to be your like those Ivy League schools that are going to cost you, 70, 60, $80,000 a year. Stony Brook's going to be somewhere in the middle, and then that 3 is going to be more of your community college. And so if you notice, your SAI is going to remain the same throughout, depending on no matter what school you go to, and so therefore your needs. So you may qualify for a need-based loan at school 1 and maybe Stony Brook, but maybe if you're attending a lower cost school such as, where like Suffolk, where the cost is not as high, compared to the number 1 school, you may not qualify for a subsidized loan. Just keep that in mind. Virginia?
Yep. So earlier in the presentation, I mentioned that there were two types of aid: gift aid, such as scholarships and grants that generally do not need repayment. However, remember about Excelsior, always make sure you read your contractual agreements, and self-help aid, such as loans, which must be repaid, as well as employment, where a student would earn a paycheck for the hours that they had worked. As previously mentioned, these sources of aid can come from a variety of sources, such as the federal and state government, college, university, private sources, religious organizations, employers. Federal aid is issued through the FAFSA application process. The aid given through the FAFSA application is primarily the Pell Grant and direct to student federal loans. State aid requires a separate application. Here in New York, that application is available through HESC, the Higher Education Services Corporation. The New York State payment application is needed to determine a student's eligibility to receive a New York State TAP grant. A separate application would be needed to determine a student's eligibility to receive an Excelsior scholarship. Because scholarships can be found in a variety of places, we always suggest checking with any organization you or your parent may have affiliation with. If your parent or you are a union member, we'd advise you to check with them to see if any scholarships are available through that affiliation. The federal grants. The federal Pell Grant is awarded only to undergraduate students who display exceptional financial need and who have not yet earned a bachelor's degree. A federal Pell Grant, unlike a loan, does not have to be repaid. Amounts can change yearly. The maximum federal Pell Grant award is $7,395 for the current academic aid year. The maximum amount for 25-26 academic aid year has not yet been released. The amount of an awarded Pell Grant is contingent upon both the student's SAI and their enrollment status. As Lindsay had mentioned, they can be prorated based on a student's course load intensity as well as their eligibility. A federal supplemental educational opportunity grant, that's a mouthful, and that's why we've abbreviated it to FSEOG, is a grant for an undergraduate student with exceptional financial need. You can receive between $100 and $4,000 a year, dependent on your financial need, when you apply to the school, and the amount of other aid you receive, and of course, the availability of funds at your institution. Each participating school receives a certain amount of SEOG funds each year from the U.S. Department of Education's Office of Federal Student Aid. Once all the school's FSEOG funds have been awarded to students, no further FSEOG awarding is possible for that year. This system works differently from the federal Pell Grant program, which provides funds to every eligible student. So again, to be considered for additional institutional aid, such as the FSEOG, you'd want to file your FAFSA prior to the priority deadline of February 15th, and that can really impact your financial aid package. Each school sets its own deadlines for campus-based funds, and you can find a school's deadline on its website or by asking someone in the financial aid office. So would like to go a little bit more in depth with the federal work study. So federal work study is what is referred to as institutional aid. The federal government gives institution a limited pool of funds and basically asks the university to divide it to be equitable to all our students. Stony Brook gives primary consideration for access to this funding to students that file their FAFSA prior to the university's priority deadline, which again has traditionally been the 15th. Federal Work Study is a federal student aid program that provides part-time employment funding while the student's enrolled in school to help pay their educational expenses. The student must seek out and apply for work study jobs at their school, and they're typically given a period of time for which to secure that employment. The student will be paid directly for the hours they work, and the amount that they earn cannot exceed the total amount awarded by the school for the award year. Here at Stony Brook, students can search for job opportunities by logging on to what's known as a handshake account. That's accessible through the university's Career Center website. There are employment opportunities on campus for students that were not awarded federal work study funds. Again, our pool of funding for this is extremely limited, but Stony Brook pays student workers here approximately $9 million yearly, with only about 1 million actually stemming from federal work study issued funds. So that's important to realize. If you're not given that, it doesn't mean that you can't locate a job on campus. So federal loans, these are the types of direct to student loans that are available to undergraduate students. The U.S. Department of Education's federal student loan program is the William D. Ford Federal Direct Loan Program. Under this program, the U.S. Department of Education is the lender. There's three types of direct loans available. The first two are the sub and the on-sub loans. These are loans that are in the student's name. And a question we get a lot is, what's the maximum students can borrow from these federal loans? And the answer is that the Department of Education determines the maximum amount that students are eligible to borrow based on both their grade level as well as their dependency status. So every dependent freshman receives $5,500 in federal loans, a sophomore $6,500, and juniors and seniors both receive $7,500. Their independent counterparts are awarded somewhat more. But again, subsidized Stafford loans are need-based loans. With this loan, the federal government pays the interest while the student is enrolled at a half-time or above status and during a 6-month grace period offered by the lender following either graduation or a drop below a half-time enrollment status. In one of the previous slides, we had spoken about how need is calculated, and therefore it should be remembered that the cost of a given institution can affect the awarding of a subsidized loan. Unsubsidized loans are non-need-based loans and are available regardless of financial need. You just have to meet those very high-level eligibility criteria to be awarded a non-subsidized loan. So even if Elon Musk's children applied for FAFSA, as long as they were US citizens, they would be given unsubsidized loan eligibility because need has nothing to do with the awarding of this loan. first-time borrowers of either direct-to-student loan of either one would be required to complete what is known as an MPN, a master promissory note, and complete something called entrance counseling before those loan funds could be dispersed. The Department of Education has not yet determined the interest rates for the 25-26 academic year, but the current academic year, the interest rates are 6.53% for both the sub and the unsub undergraduate direct-to-student loans.
So there's also what's called the Federal Direct Parent Plus Loan. So this is a loan for parents of dependent undergraduate students. They can apply for this to help their student with their educational expenses not covered by their financial aid. So what part of it is that when there's a gap, so when the student's financial aid that was offered to them is not enough to cover their educational expenses, this is one of those options that are available. So eligibility of this is not need-based, it's based on a credit check. And so if the parent is to apply for the Parent Plus loan and they are denied, there are basically three options that the parent will have if this Parent Plus loan is denied. So one being that the parent can appeal the decision with documentation that's satisfactory for the Department of Education, so it goes directly to them. Um, and it's basically to show that you have extenuating circumstances related to your adverse credit history, because that's what they're looking at. The second option is for the parent to obtain what's called an endorser who does not have adverse credit history. So an endorser is someone who agrees to repay the Parent Plus loan if the parent does not end up repaying that. The endorser cannot be a student. We do get that question sometimes, but the endorser cannot be the student. And the third option is if a parent does not want to provide if they can't get an endorser, or if they are not appealing with the Department of Education, we are able to offer the student an additional unsubsidized loan. So first and second year students, so freshmen and sophomores are eligible for 4,000, juniors, seniors are eligible for an additional 5,000. It's based on their grade level, and it is an unsubsidized loan that gets offered in addition to that. A question that we get frequently is how much can a parent apply for using the Parent Plus loan? And the answer is that you can borrow up to the student's cost of attendance. So sometimes students and parents want to know, well, can I use that Parent Plus loan to help cover books? Can I use it to help cover rent that may be off campus? The answer is yes. So one of those other options as far as filling the gap is what's called called a private loan. So if a parent either chooses not to do a plus loan, another option is for the student to do a private loan. So private educational loans are offered through the lending institutions and are not part of the federal government loan programs. So to maximize the best available funding options, we do encourage that students at least complete the FAFSA form. The federal direct loans tend to have a lower interest rates and better financing options. So therefore, private loans should be taken kind of as a last resort, but they are available for students for that option, so to help cover that gap. As with all student loan amounts that are borrowed, it still must be for educational expenses, and it can't exceed that cost of attendance. So money is typically borrowed for these private loans. They're typically in the student's name, but since the students are new to the borrowing world, I would say, they haven't established enough credit history yet. So generally 99.9% of the time they do require, oh, I love the sad face. I know it's tough. Um, those are the tough conversations that we have to have sometime. But typically, yes, a student is going to be required to have a cosigner who basically has that credit worthiness. Interest rates, loan fees, and all the borrower benefits are going to vary. On our website, we do have what's called a lender list, where we've just done some research on lenders that students have used in the past that we feel have treated our students okay. The students have had a pleasant experience, and so you can go on there and kind of compare them against each other. You just want to be mindful of, does the interest rate vary or is it fixed? Do they require the student to be meeting satisfactory academic progress? Do they not care? Do they have to be full-time, part-time? So it's just important to kind of look at those terms and conditions when you are applying for those. But as I say, for most things, when you're applying for a private loan or you're applying for any loans, that is what we are here for, and we're here to help you navigate that process. So I saw a sad face and I saw like a oh kind of face. We are here to help you with that process. So don't hopefully we'll turn that oh into a okay. Just speak with us. Love it. Thumbs up. So there are big question that we get. Yay, all the thumbs up. Big questions that we get is about university scholarships. So institutional scholarships are another source of financial aid. So here at Stony Brook, all incoming freshmen are considered for merit-based scholarships. So a couple things to keep in mind, that it is important to understand that since all of our students here at Stony Brook who are admitted are all high achieving students, scholarships are very, very competitive. These merit-based scholarships are not need-based, so we do not look at the FAFSA form to determine what scholarship you are eligible as far as your merit-based scholarship. So it also is not required to complete the FAFSA form. While we always suggest to complete the FAFSA form, you are not required to complete it to be considered for a merit-based scholarship. Um, there are some scholarships that may require need-based, so then those are those other university type scholarships that may require a separate application. So we definitely would advise to definitely, do the FAFSA form. But for the merit-based scholarships, it's looked at that we take a look at your application as a whole for the admissions process, and the same thing goes for the merit-based scholarships. So there are also scholarships that students can apply for. Those are going to be more of those donor-based scholarships that require a separate application. On our website, we do have any scholarship that requires you to submit an application. We do post that typically on our website, website in our scholarship section. We also have what is called Scholarship Universe, which I will allow Virginia to go into.
Yeah, so this is Stony Brook's platform where we gather all our scholarships together. Students who are interested in looking for scholarships can review the scholarship opportunities on this platform. Scholarship Universe allows students to create personalized profiles to help match them to relevant scholarships based on a number of different criteria. Scholarship Universe is available to students who are interested in seeing what's available. However, the platform is not fully accessible until a student is fully committed and they receive what's known as their net ID and password. When a student's able to fully access the platform, a questionnaire will appear upon login, and completion of this questionnaire will create the personalized aspect of the platform. The questionnaire contains around 100 questions, and while it's not mandatory or a requirement that the student complete the entire questionnaire, it's encouraged because the scholarship applications that are then recommended to the student via the platform will become ever more specific. Nick, the director of the financial aid department, always loves to give this example of a left-handed golf player whose father was in the Korean War, and that is where you can find a very specific scholarship like that, is if you complete that questionnaire. Okay. So New York state aid, aside from federal aid, there are state-specific grants and scholarships. For all HESC scholarships, completion of the New York State payment application is required. TAP, otherwise known as the Tuition Assistance Program, is New York State's largest grant program. TAP helps eligible New York State residents attending in-state post-secondary institutions to pay for tuition. TAP grants are based on the applicant's and his or her family's New York State taxable income. The maximum TAP grant for the 24-25 academic year is $5,665. Some common mistakes we see in our department is students only complete their FAFSA and they forget to complete their TAP application. And we really urge students to really think about how the FAFSA is federal aid and New York State TAP aid is state aid. They're different awards and they require different applications to receive the awards. Typically, you will complete the FAFSA first, and at the end of the FAFSA, in years past, there was a link that would take you to the TAP application. However, the link was not provided on the 24-25 FAFSA application, and we're unsure as of yet if it will be provided on the 25-26 application. However, if there's any uncertainty as to where to locate the application, please contact us. Would be happy to assist you in finding it. It is important to review your TAP status on the hesc.ny.gov website to ensure that you have fully completed the application. That is a question we get a lot, is students will see their TAP grant offered as estimated, and it's only listed as estimated because they haven't completed their application. And it could just be an oversight of a signature that was needed or something like that.
So New York State has a slew of scholarships that are available to students. And so here are just some high-level scholarships that are available. So the New York State Scholarship for Academic Excellence, it's awarded to outstanding graduates from registered New York State high schools. And awards are based on students' grades based on your Regents exams, and it's for up to 5 years of undergraduate study in New York. There also is the New York State Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics STEM Incentive Program. So so one of the things that Virginia had mentioned before, this is an example of a scholarship that if you do not read the award detail carefully enough, there is a contract that you're signing, so it can turn into a loan if you don't fulfill the criteria. And so the STEM incentive program does provide full SUNY or CUNY tuition scholarship to the top 10% of students in each New York State high school if they pursue a STEM degree, and then they also have to agree to work in the STEM field in New York for 5 years after graduation. This keyword in here as far as providing a scholarship for full tuition scholarship. So it does, HESC awards are tuition specific. And so this does not include fees. It does not include your dorm room. It does not include your meal plan. It's specifically for tuition. So for example, if you are a full TAP recipient and you also apply for the STEM program, you're not going to be eligible for both because your TAP is going to cover that tuition. So it's just important to keep that in mind. They have lots of scholarships, another scholarship. So for those, the VTA award, so it's for eligible veterans who are matriculated as an undergraduate and even a graduate student. They're eligible for a tuition assistance for either full or part-time. So that's another thing to look into. HESC does have a ton of scholarships, so we do advise to take a look at that. But just remember, it does require a separate application because this is state aid. Another common question that we get is about the Excelsior scholarship. So this is so not on top of, so you have the FAFSA form, and then on top of that you have the TAP application. But wait, there's more. If you're planning on applying for the Excelsior scholarship, that is an additional application. And unfortunately, to make things kind of fun, it's not available yet. It is not open yet for next year. So we do typically like to advise students, if we believe that you will be eligible, we might put it on your award letter as an estimate, as Virginia had mentioned, but you do have to apply for a separate application. We do try to send out notifications reminding students. And New York State, so HESC, if you go to their website, they do typically have a section of their website where you can place your email address in there, and they will notify you when the application becomes available. So with Excelsior, it is for families who have earned $125,000 or less. So next year is going to be for the 2023, based on your 2023 tax return. There is an application deadline. You do have to sign a contract that you're going to. Oh, my lights went off in my office. Sorry, hold on. That's so sorry about that, everyone. You have to sign a contract agreeing to reside in New York State for the length of time that you received the award. So it is important. Again, this is another thing that we want to make sure that we are clear to students and trying to be as transparent as possible. Excelsior is aimed for students who are not receiving other grants and scholarships that can go towards their tuition. So an example is that it's just a tuition. So I go back to it's just tuition. So for this year, that's $7,070. So that means that if you're receiving, again, a full TAP award, you're not going to be eligible for Excelsior because your tuition is covered by your TAP. Another caveat is that if you happen to be a full Pell recipient, because Pell can go towards tuition, for New York State, the Excelsior, you may not be eligible for a full dollar amount. So just keep that in mind, that the purpose of Excelsior was for parents and families who are not receiving other types of aid that can go towards tuition. So just keep that in mind. But they have a great information on their website. Again, it's listed there, the hesc.ny.gov. It provides great information, and then definitely make sure you put your email in there so they can notify you once that application becomes available, because it is a third application if you are planning on applying for that you have to complete. Virginia?
So we talked about some federal methodology and how the SAI is arrived at, but we didn't speak about how the FAFSA is getting data based off of the prior tax return. And because it's taking that data from 2 years previous or the prior, we understand that you might be saying to yourself, like, wow, what I'm putting on my FAFSA, it doesn't really represent what's going on in my life right now. And the Department of Education allows institutions to perform something that is called professional judgment, which you may imagine it allows us to perform professional judgment. Therefore, if there's extenuating circumstances, such as those listed on the slide, slide, would advise you to touch base with each financial aid office to determine their process. In some cases, even with an evaluation, it may not result in a change to financial aid. This process, for example, it only affects the awarding of a Pell Grant. Therefore, if a student's already awarded with the maximum award, the student would be ineligible for reevaluation because we cannot award more than the maximum. Another example would be a drastic reduction of income that would still not take an SAI into Pell range. For example, a parent that was earning $500,000 per year loses their job and then gains employment where they're now earning $250,000 a year. And you're like, wow, we understand that's a really drastic reduction of income, but it still wouldn't be enough to be Pell eligible, and therefore a reevaluation of federal aid would not be appropriate. The presentation that we just gave, we understand there was a ton of information there. We're very mindful of that, but we hoped that it allowed you to take a little bit of fear out of completing the financial aid process. Our contact information is on our final slide, which Lindsay will relay to you.
So definitely, so here's our contact information. If you have any financial aid related questions, we are happy to answer those questions. Our phones are available. We have wonderful, wonderful financial aid staff available to answer phones. Virginia is one of those fabulous people, so you may be lucky enough to catch her on the phone. But we are happy to answer those questions that you guys have. I always say that I am a born and raised New Yorker, so I know I talk a mile a minute. So we figured we'd leave a little bit of time afterwards to answer any of those live questions that we may have, that you may have.
You're getting a lot of love,
I was
Virginia.
gonna say this. I love this emoji thing. This is making my day. Thank you, guys.
A nice stress reducer for what can be a stressful topic. So we have some great questions, both that were pre-submitted and that have come in so far this evening. So the first question, which we actually get a lot, is what's the easiest way to remember the difference between subsidized and unsubsidized loans? Like, is there like a trick that you use to remember, or you just have to get used to it?
I don't know if we've just gotten used to it, but it's the government is subsidizing the loan for you. They're doing something for you. Un means something. Un to me means, oh no, subsidizing. They're doing something for you. They're paying the interest on that loan while a student's still enrolled in school at a half-time and above status, and for 6 months post graduation or drop below that half-time enrollment status.
Excellent. The next question is really more about timeline. If I'm applying for fall 2025 and whether I've applied early action or regular decision, and I fill out my FAFSA and if I'm a New York State resident, my New York State TAP and other scholarship and award applications. Is there kind of a general time frame I might expect to hear from Stony Brook, not about scholarships, but specifically about need-based aid and loans?
Virginia, I'll take that question because that's a tricky one. So we are at the mercy, I would say, of the feds releasing the FAFSA form, because once obviously it gets released, we then have to make sure that we're doing all the testing and everything like that so we can make sure that we're sending out the most accurate package to our students. I would say typically we aim to let students know about their financial aid packages. I'm going to say early March. Last year, I think, was one of the earliest we've ever gotten out. No, not last, the year before that was the earliest. And even with all the craziness going on, I believe we got those out sometime in March, maybe early April. We do know that you have that May 1 deadline, so we do try to get that to you as soon as possible. But what we will share is that you get your scholarship information when you get admitted. So that comes too. So you have that information. When you complete your FAFSA form, they give you your SAI, and they give you, and if you're eligible for Pell or you're eligible for loans, they'll tell you this is the estimated Pell that you're eligible for, and this is the estimated loan amount that you're eligible for. So you have that. And then for New York State, same thing. They may, once they've calculated your award, they will notify you really before they even notify us. And so really you will have all that information. The only thing that you may not have is that actual SUNY award letter, is that financial aid award piece of paper that kind of puts it all on one page for you. We are happy if it gets to a point where you have to make a decision. We're happy to kind of give you those estimates, but typically for all students, we do provide you with enough time to make that decision, and we do like to get those out as early as possible. I believe last year we were the first SUNY school to get those award notifications out, so we will get those out to you as soon as possible.
That's great news. If I apply for my financial aid earlier, will I get more money?
I think that we did go over that a few times during the presentation, that filing FAFSA prior to the priority deadline is really impactful in regards to a student's financial aid package, such as the additional institutional aid, WOLFE grants, federal work study funding. You'd be, in the running for those if you file prior to the priority deadline. So yes, it can.
It's worth it. It's stressful, but it's worth it. And I believe, in your opinion, compared to the old FAFSA, the new improved FAFSA, should it feel simpler if someone's done this before? Is it still kind of complicated? What's your take?
So my take, I'll share my take. So typically, yes, if you have your FSA ID, that's all good to go. Both the student and the contributors. If your parent filed, let's just say jointly, and then yes, they'll be able to go on, they'll get it done. One contributor is really, one contributor signs it, good to go. We've found that there were some difficulties for parents and students who may have parents are together, but maybe they filed separately. So we've just say allow yourself to give yourself a little bit more time. But what I will say is, with the new FAFSA form, it does provide us with accurate information, in the sense of the tax information is coming directly from the IRS. So the slip of a finger, the adding of a zero, we've had times where students reported that they were receiving, millions of dollars, or they added an extra zero to their adjusted gross income, which makes a huge impact when you're manually entering things. So they did make it easier. You just kind of have to follow those steps, and you have to do it in that order. So the student has to do their section. Then the parent has to make sure that when they're adding as a contributor, that they use the link that the FAFSA provides. So the parent doesn't want to go in and complete the FAFSA form. They want to go through the contributor link. So I say, if you follow those steps, then yes, and you get your FSA ID early, then yes, it is a very simple process.
Great. This question comes up a lot, I think, because we have applicants that are applying to public schools, private schools, all over the country. The CSS profile, which we did talk about, and the FAFSA. The question is, if I filled out the CSS profile, should I still do the FAFSA? And I know that answer is yes, because we don't use the CSS profile. But kind of combined with that, we get questions about, is it required? Is it mandatory? And I know we talked about that too, but just to kind of reiterate what we're looking for, what we can do to help if you fill out the FAFSA.
So the FAFSA is not a requirement, it's just urged. It's heavily recommended, because even if you don't feel like, as of the date that the FAFSA is released, that you don't need that help from the federal government, circumstances could change, and then it would already be set. You'd be good to go. So we would definitely just recommend filing it. But it's not a requirement per se. Although I believe some scholarship opportunities may want you to have it on file, though.
Okay. And in the past, we've talked about, and you mentioned, like, outside scholarships and like what to be aware of when you're researching, external scholarships and applying for things. Could you give us some of those do's and don'ts, warnings about external scholarship applications?
Virginia, I'll take this one. So yeah, when you're applying for external scholarships, a couple of things to be mindful of is that you should never have to provide your social security number when you're applying for the scholarship. That's not something that they would need to know. As far as when you're applying for a scholarship. Also, you want to be mindful that there are so many external scholarships out there that what I found or what I suggest to students is to make sure that maybe you create a specific email address for applying for scholarships. Because when you're looking at websites like FastWeb, so that's a scholarship search engine for external scholarships, they will flood your email. So if you say that I like to draw and I like to go for canoe rides, they will send you every scholarship that is out there that you may fit the criteria. So it may seem like a lot. So, I would say create an email address so you can kind of fish through that. And then when you're applying to the scholarship, if you wanted to use that email, your more, everyday email address, that might be helpful. So, opportunities aren't getting lost. Or when you're applying for, if you're awarded the scholarship, you're able to kind of see it in your inbox easier than it would be if it was all unless it's all mixed together. And then another big thing is that you should not have to pay for a scholarship. You are applying for a scholarship because you are saying that you need assistance for school. You should not be paying for that. So the same thing goes with the FAFSA form. You should not be paying for someone to complete your FAFSA form. It is so simple. And in the sense of that, you're just putting your information down, they will pull it. You may see someone say, oh, I can guarantee that you're going to get financial aid. Well, yes, as Virginia mentioned, even Elon Musk's children, when they go to school, will qualify for some form of financial aid. So the idea of the FAFSA form, it's free application for federal student aid. So make sure that you're not paying for that. And then external scholarships or scholarships in general, you should not have to pay to apply for a scholarship.
Yeah, I always like that as a reminder because we've heard stories that we are really sad when you give information because it sounds like a good deal and it's usually not. So be very careful. And you can always check with financial aid at Stony Brook. If you see something that seems like a great opportunity, but you want to double check, email financial aid and they can kind of help vet that, or use the Stony Brook financial aid website where you can also find kind of vetted external scholarship information. A lot of questions have come in about if you have multiple children going to college at the same time, are you filling out separate FAFSAs? If you're a New York State resident, is it separate aid applications for each child? What if they're twins or triplets? Like, how does it work? And will you kind of qualify for more or is it going to be pretty much the same?
I'm going to take that one, Virginia. So when each student has to do their own FAFSA form. So if you remember the slide that we went over, what the SAI was made up of, it's made up of the parent contribution and the student's contribution. So if you have twins, maybe one worked, one didn't. One has savings, one doesn't have savings. So each student does have to fill out a FAFSA form. The easy part, the good thing is that with the contributor, you should be able to just put your information in a little bit easier instead of manually having to go in and type each thing. So that should be a little bit easier. But yes, for each student, each sibling, you do have to complete a separate FAFSA form for each student.
Great. And we get a lot of questions about not only the 529 plan, not only what is it, but how is it kind of factored in to the FAFSA, or is it at all?
So it does take that into consideration. What I would explain to students is one, when it comes to your finances and as far as reporting your savings, investments, all those things and what needs to report on the FAFSA form, the easiest way for us to describe it is to read the question on the FAFSA form. In the instructions, it tells you exactly what has to be reported, whether it's being reported as a student asset or the parent asset. So we would recommend utilizing that information on the FAFSA form.
Great. And in the past few years, the Excelsior Scholarship application, because it doesn't follow kind of the traditional financial aid and scholarship application timeline, when might they expect to be able to apply for Excelsior?
What I would suggest is that they actually just Google HESC Excelsior application, and they'll be brought to that HESC webpage where they can put in their email address, and HESC will actually reach out to them when the scholarship opens.
Yeah, that's great advice. And we had another question. Oh, we have a question about if I'm an international student, do I have any options for aid and scholarships? Is there any hope for me? What will that look like if I'm going to be on at Stony Brook on a student visa?
So I
So for
think
sorry,
go
you go,
go
Virginia. Nope, you got it.
So I think the International Student Aid page is a great resource for our student because it lists the incoming merit-based awarding that can occur for an international student. It also links Scholarship Universe, Stony Brook's platform for scholarships, and it also lists that private loan option as well. So I would just definitely recommend they check out that page.
Okay, good. And so if I have kind of a more personal question that's very detailed and I feel like it's more complex and maybe not something, we would ask in a recorded virtual presentation, is it okay to reach out by email to financial aid or to call? Is it possible to really kind of have that discussion if I'm, very confused about something and it seems like not covered by this information?
Like, absolutely. We take phone calls like that every single day. Our phone lines are open Monday through Friday, 10 to 3. We offer walk-in lobby hours every day of the week, 8:30 to 5, except Tuesday we close a little earlier at 3:30. We offer our financial aid inbox, finaid at stonybrook.edu, and we get questions like that and answer them all the time. So absolutely.
That's great, thank you. And for work study, since it's a federal program you have to qualify for, what kind of jobs would you be expected to do as a college student? What are some things that you might end up doing while you're in undergrad?
Yeah, so I'm going to answer that one, Virginia, because we actually happen to have amazing work study staff here, students. I'm not even say staff because they're amazing. Our work study students on this webinar today in the background answering questions. And so we happen to hire work study students in our office. They handle like our front desk, and we actually work with the Career Center. So the Career Center has a program of it's called GROW. So it's called Guided Reflections on Work. And what we try to do with our students here is to not only just give them a job so they can receive, a paycheck, but we also try to teach them those life skills about making sure you're showing up on time, dressed appropriately. They help us with our presentations. They make outgoing phone calls. So we're trying to teach them lifelong lessons on how to introduce in the workplace, but we also know that they are students, and so we do make sure that we allow time for them to study. We're making sure that we are very flexible. They say, hey, I can't come in for my shift today because I have a big exam coming up. We are so flexible, which is why the work study is so amazing, is because we understand that school does come first, but we also are here to help students kind of start easing their way into the professional realm that they are, which is what their goal is.
That's great. We are the same way in admissions. For the GI Bill or for military families, is there anything kind of special we should be thinking about or looking out for through the application for financial aid?
So for the GI Bill, you're going to be speaking with our Veterans Affairs office directly. So we just post the award. So Veterans Affairs typically will ask for your letter of benefits. They go through that, and then they do all the reporting with with the VA. And then as far as any state aid programs available, that's going to be through HESC. So we would advise taking a look there for scholarships as well, specifically to veterans.
Thank you both so much. Would you each give kind of your top tip for surviving the financial aid application process for our families that have joined us and supporters of applicants as they kind of move forward with your information and take on this challenge?
My top tip is just to utilize our campus resources. Like I had stated, all our contact information, we're always there. We're eager to support our students and their families in the financial aid process. We're happy to do it. And we love it when students come into the lobby and we're able to fix a glitch or, show them a way around something that they've been struggling with. So I would really, that's my number one thing I'd want to relay is remember, your resources on campus.
I'm going to piggyback right off of that. That's exactly what I would say. We are here to help. We are in this profession to help students through the process. So at any point, if you feel stuck, if you're confused about something, we are professionals. We do this on a regular basis. So if you think that your question is one of a kind, or you think that it's a special circumstances, we are happy to hear it. But I can tell you most likely we have heard it before. So we know how to help guide you in the right direction.
Thank you so much. And I'll give my, kind of words of encouragement. You're all doing a great job. I know it sometimes feels like, there's a lot to do in a limited amount of time, but if you just take it step by step, we're pretty confident that with these resources, and again, you can rewatch this presentation as many times as you need to and kind of fast forward through to the sections that apply to you. We really know that you can do this, and we truly hope that you have a wonderful rest of your senior year. If you're a senior in high school, or if you're a college student looking to transfer to Stony Brook, we hope to see you on campus as a future Seawolf. Thank you again, Virginia, Lindsay, and all of the people behind the scenes who answered over 100 questions in the Q&A. We really do appreciate you. It is 8 o'clock, so we will say goodnight. Thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful day. Bye.
Bye.